Good evening,
Wait,
ladies and gentlemen.
How do we
I was
start
gonna,
this?
I was gonna start it right there. That was gonna be it.
No, I forget. We had a way of doing it, and I forget what it was.
I think I would like introduce us, and you'd be like, you would call us fresh.
Oh, the freshest podcast
I think we've already started at this point. We've been
in
live for like a
twenty
minute.
in 2021.
What is up, gamers? Welcome back to Two Bros One Podcast,
I
the
didn't
the freshest and fastest growing podcast in 2021.
And freshest.
Voted
you
number
kinda stole
one.
Yeah, 2021 podcast of the year.
It's been said. Now
How's it going, Coop? It has been forever since we've lived together and died together and moved away together.
Happy New Year, Pete.
Actually, yes, Happy New Year to you too.
New year, new me.
New Morbius.
Yeah, it's Morbin time.
I think of all the things that have happened between now and the last podcast, the most monumental is Morbius.
We haven't even seen Morbius yet. So how do you know?
It's about the idea.
Pete, I like the fact that your mic is always so bad. You're on your phone this time, and people might not even be able to tell. Like, this is the clearest you've looked.
No. We have to have some little background context to this. So Cooper calls me earlier. He's like, "Oh, do you want to play some games tonight?" I was like, "Oh, I can't. I'm going out on a mysterious vacation."
Yeah?
And then, yes, basically just dog sitting for a coworker. But then
Coworker, I hardly know her.
he was like, "Yeah, let's do that." And I was like, "Okay, I'll bring my computer to this dog sitting house." And then he, in the same sentence, was like, "Oh, I've locked myself out of the house."
That's my story.
We'll get to that story.
So Peter doesn't bring his computer.
But basically, I was like, "Okay, so he can't play games. Let me not bring my computer."
Why would you not bring it anyway?
Because we couldn't play games.
You could do other things on your computer. You could do your taxes.
What? I was gonna say finances, but yes.
Trade your stonks.
No, I couldn't do anything with my computer. It would be useless here. So I didn't bring it. I just brought my phone. And now Cooper's all mad because he wanted to do a podcast.
Well, the only reason I want to do a podcast is I have the craziest thing.
You just like me so much.
The craziest thing happened to me today, and I just had to tell someone about it. And I was like, I could talk to Pete, but then that would be lame because I hate him. So now I'll talk to Pete in front of others, specifically in front of Peter's family, because you're the only ones that really watch this podcast. So shout out to you guys.
Yeah. Well,
if you're related to Pete, this one's for you.
Thank you. Does that include me?
Nope.
No one's more related to me than me. Keep it in the family. Isn't that what the saying is?
Did we talk about, like, if you could have sex with the female version of yourself?
Oh, we just went over how my family is the only one who listens to this podcast. And you pull out with that.
But, like, you remember, like, Loki, the TV show, and he, like, fell in love with the female version of himself?
I do think we talked about this.
That's, like, the one thing we did talk about.
Yeah.
Actually.
We before this podcast, we went through and, like, discussed all of the things that we haven't talked about.
No, that's what I was about to say. That's what we're about to do. I have a list of topics for us to discuss.
Well, we are jumping way too far around. What about your story?
I'll tell the story later. I think it's important to talk about all the things we could have talked about.
Yes.
It's been so long since we podcasted that we have all these topics built up. We're just going to run through them real fast and try and guess what they are.
For context, Cooper and I had developed lists where we would sit before the podcast started recording, before the live stream, and talk about topics that we wanted to discuss. And so we have them written down to go, but they're all from like 9+ months ago.
Let me tell you, Pete, I got some bangers on here.
Yeah, some bangers and mash.
So let's just get right into it. First topic of the night, goldfish.
Was this about Wakanda dying? Bro, Wakanda died between our previous podcast and now.
Yeah, I don't even know if they know who Wakanda is.
Wakanda was not our goldfish.
Wakanda was not our roommate's goldfish either, but he lived in our apartment.
Yeah.
And now he's dead.
The story of what happened was our roommate has some eccentric friends, one of which is a semi-professional baseball player who won a goldfish in a carnival. And it turned out that it actually lived longer than a month and ended up living like 5+ years. And
And the
so when he got,
roommate, the roommate was just like, "Let's, John, will you watch my goldfish for me?" And John was like, "Sure." And then he had a goldfish for 5 years.
the roommate was like, "I'll come get him from you again." But then he got a contract with a minor league baseball team and then moved away forever.
And what's great about John is he's a great dude. He was always like, "Nah, that's not my goldfish. One day he'll come back and claim this goldfish."
He held to it till the day he died. And
The
he
day the
cleaned
fish
out
died.
the
The
tank.
fish died. Not John.
Yeah,
John's still
well,
alive. He'll come up later when I tell my story.
true. But yeah, John took care of this fish like crazy. Like he cleaned out the tank, he bought like extra filters for it. He bought like all those fancy things you keep in the tank. He fed it. And all just because he was like, "Oh, it's just a favor. He's coming back."
Yeah, he was the best. I was gonna say fish owner, but I guess like best fish steward
Yeah.
of all time.
And we tried to get him friends,
Funkle.
but Wakanda ate all the friends.
He was a good fish, but he's dead now. Anyway,
Well,
goldfish.
he died because he jumped out of the tank and they found him a couple hours later just flopping on the ground. And then
Oh.
he just didn't like to swim.
I remembered what goldfish was.
Oh,
I looked over at Wakanda, and he was a big ass goldfish.
he
So-
was like this. He was like 8 inches.
He was like 8 inches long. And
He was like 8 inches long.
I proposed, would you eat a goldfish, a live swimmy fish, like a real one? Would you eat a goldfish for a year's supply of goldfish? The
Okay,
cracker.
No. Everyone got so mad at Cooper because Cooper was like, "No brainer, yes." But
Everyone hates me.
Cooper went around for like a week asking any person who would listen this question because he likes dumb hypotheticals, and no one said yes to eating it because everyone was like, "I don't eat that much goldfish."
But you would eat that much goldfish
No,
if
I
it
wouldn't.
was
That would
there.
be bad for me.
If you had free goldfish, the CPD, the calories per dollar on an unlimited supply of goldfish for a year is crazy.
I would not eat the
Infinity.
goldfish. I would not eat the goldfish.
There's so many flavors. They got pizza flavored goldfish. They got cheddar cheese flavored goldfish. They got extra cheddar flavored goldfish. They got plain flavored goldfish. They got that rainbow goldfish.
You also started with this hypothetical saying it was only classic goldfish. Even if it was all the flavors, not worth it. I don't eat that much goldfish. My goldfish intake would not just go up because it's there.
It would, because then you wouldn't have to worry about eating anything. You could just eat goldfish the whole time.
And then I would be bloated and fat and die. I wouldn't live to see the year supply.
Okay, you could eat real goldfish too. If you eat
That's not helping me.
if you eat one real goldfish, then you can eat all the goldfish crackers you want and all the real goldfish you want.
Okay, so
Protein.
like a
Omega
bag or 2
3s.
a year for the normal goldfish and 0. Or wait, for the goldfish
Wait.
cracker and 0 for the normal goldfish is what I want.
But it's a dumb question, and everyone else is dumb for not agreeing with me. And the only thing that hypothetical made was it made John afraid that I was going to eat his goldfish. So
Yeah.
luckily I didn't.
It did. John takes things very seriously. He was very concerned for Wakanda's safety.
Luckily for Wakanda, he killed himself before I could eat him.
He heard the conversation. It was a whole big thing.
He was a trooper, though. He survived outside of his tank for like 12 hours.
Yeah, he was out there for a long time.
And then he
'Cause
like floated sideways for like 3 months after that.
It was like 2 days. He did not make it long.
He
after.
lasted a while.
It was.
You weren't here. Because that's
I
another
was
thing.
there in spirit.
Peter and I lived together since we've talked, and then he moved away.
Well, yes. Here, you might want to know where I am, and it is
Where
not
are
in my.
you?
I am currently dog sitting for a coworker, for Harvey, who you might hear piping up later. But the
What
thing is,
dog doing? Why is he in a cage?
yes, but in another sense, no. So I couldn't get him to eat his food. So I tried to put him in like a pen with his food, and he wouldn't
Yeah.
eat it. He would just like whine at me, and so I was like, okay, what's a better solution? Enclose myself so that he couldn't get to me and I couldn't distract him from not eating the food while I filmed this podcast.
Okay, for anyone listening on the audio, Peter is currently sitting on a couch covered in fence gates with a dog outside. Pretty good description.
You might hear him in the background every now and then, audio listeners.
Yeah. But if it gets too rowdy, Pete will go and put him
Bring
down.
him on. Well, don't know about that.
Okay, that's fine. So, goldfish covered. Number 2, we got killed.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I don't know.
Cooper brought this story up before the podcast, and I could not believe that we hadn't told it yet, because it was so long ago, and it's our like go-to like not party story, because we're not popular, we don't go to parties, we're not cool like that, but our go-to people story. Anyone who will listen, we tell this story.
When you're walking down the street, you tell this story.
Hey kids, and then we tell them the story.
Yeah,
but
when Pete's hanging outside of the local playground.
Yeah.
Kids, come here about the time I almost died in an Uber.
Spread my wisdom a little bit. But Coop, why don't you start it off with some context for how we started the night? Because that's a whole nother story.
We got in an Uber, and then the Uber driver was really bad, and we almost died.
Okay, so that butchered it.
What do you mean? I told the story.
That was the worst telling the story. You missed British Pete, you missed Malachi getting mad, you missed the chiropractor, you missed the cookout crash, and then all the conversations in the Uber before our inevitable death.
I feel like I nailed that.
Okay, yeah. We can move on.
I feel like now it's funnier if we don't tell what actually happened.
All right, we can leave it up to the imagination.
All right, Pete, our next one is bus down just like a bus route.
What? This is Cooper's list, by the way. Mine is lost somewhere in the void. So I don't know what half of these are.
I think it was I just had to ride the bus.
Did you ride next to someone like smoking weed or something?
No.
I did that a couple times.
I didn't have a parking pass, so I just had to ride the bus for a while. I think that's it.
Bro, that's crazy story.
Yeah, these are all pretty tame. Next one, Pete loves BBC.
The British Broadcast Channel. No.
Oh, the Big Bacon Cheddar. The Big Bacon Cheddar. Pete loves Big Bacon Cheddar.
This one needs some context. Cooper and I were in the Wendy's drive-thru, and he says, and they have a deal for the Big Bacon Cheddar burger, and we both want it.
It looked really good.
I'm driving, and he says, if you say, I want 2 BBCs, I will buy them for you. And I'll
pay.
Yeah, and I said, okay. And so I roll up to the window, and I'm like,
and
can I have 2 BBCs?
For clarification, Peter is the most awkward person I've ever met.
No,
so he makes a normal situation awkward, and this situation is even more awkward by the statement that he's making to this employee.
No.
So he says, can I have 2 BBCs? And how do they reply, Peter?
What is that? Could you repeat that?
And Pete goes, 2. He could have just been like, oh, the Big Bacon Cheddar, and I would have still paid for it. But he doubled down, and he goes,
no, I didn't know this at the time. I was like, oh, I have to commit to it. I would be like, oh, I can't pay now because you didn't do it.
It was just for you to say it, and you said it, so I would have fronted the money. But he goes, 2 BBCs, please. And she goes, it's quiet for a second, and she goes, spicy nuggets?
Yeah, she goes, spicy nugget. It was the craziest.
And Peter goes, yeah, sure. And I go, what are you doing? We don't want spicy nuggets. Why would you say yes? And then Peter's panicking. I'm in the passenger seat, and I yell over, no, 2 Big Bacon Cheddars, please. And she goes, oh, okay.
Oh, no. And then she's like, oh, the Big Bacon Cheddars. Is that what you want to confirm after we've confused her? And I say, yeah, the BBCs. And she goes quiet, tells us the order total, and we move on.
She was so done with her day. She was like, I don't need these two children in my line. And let me tell you, the BBC's kind of bussin'.
They were so good. Not worth it though.
Probably like 3,000 calories each, but
Yeah,
worth it.
honestly, worth it for the heartburn.
All right, Pete, next we have shaved legs. I
Cooper is so dumb.
I got a new razor. And this is like a year ago at this point. I got a new razor and it was electronic or electric. And I was like, oh, I wonder how good it is. And I ran it down my leg and it just shaved off all the hair in like a little like 1 inch strip. Like a 1 inch strip. And then then I was like, well, I can't just have this patch shaved in my legs. So I shaved my entire legs. And let me tell you, I would recommend.
Folks at home, if you don't know much about Cooper, here's one thing. He has two personalities, just normal Coop and impulse Coop. And when impulse Coop takes over, he makes the dumbest decisions known to man.
That's where
like
you're
he
wrong.
dyed his hair blonde for like $100 on stream.
It was 200, and that's where you're wrong.
It was definitely $100.
It is all impulse Coop. There is no other.
That might be true. And he just decides, I'm gonna go like baby seal smooth on his legs.
It was nice actually. My legs were completely shaved, and it was like when we first started working out, so my quads were popping a little bit too. Like I kind of want to do it again since we've been working out even longer now. Just see how it feels, how it looks.
To his credit, it was kind of nice. Moving on to the next topic.
I don't want to shave my legs anymore. Next one I have is Peter can't drive. Pretty self-explanatory.
No. Okay. Cooper has it in his head that I'm a bad driver. I'm such a good
That's
driver.
what this story is. We were in the parking lot for the gym, and you almost hit 3 people.
No, they almost hit me.
They were humans. They were walking.
If they see a car going at them, oh, what am I going to do? Keep walking into it? No. So I keep driving.
The last one, you literally went up on the curb to avoid hitting them.
Exactly. I didn't hit them. I avoided. My expert driving made it so they didn't get hit, and they should thank me for that.
Yeah. So never get in a car with Pete.
No, I'm a good driver.
No good, very bad gym day. Oh, this was when we were doing a bench press, and Peter dropped the weight on me and made me break my shoulder. And I've never recovered to this day. This was 7 months ago.
We haven't done a podcast since we've gotten huge, have we?
Yeah, no, we haven't.
Yeah, so Cooper and I started...
I should have worn a medium shirt today.
Yeah, you should have. Cooper... Oh, I'm actually wearing a tiny shirt under this flannel. Cooper and I have started working out a lot, and we are Uber Chads now. But
only on
Cooper had to take like 2 months off of like any upper body, like over the head movement. Because...
Dead microphone! What's up, King? Welcome back. 11 months in a row.
In the middle of the
prime sub.
And so Cooper goes and he's like, yeah, I'm super strong. Let me do more weight.
Revisionist history.
Than I can possibly handle. And I have easily lifted like 45 pounds over this weight.
No shot. You are lying. This is the only...
And I finished my sets. And then Cooper's like, hey, I cannot stress this enough. I need a spot on this. And so
that is true. Thanks for the Bezos Buckstead microphone.
He goes under the bar, and we're going to 8. He gets a cleanish 7 out, and he has to re-rack because he's tired and weak and doesn't, continue going like an actual alpha would. And then what he decides to do is scoot his body down the bench and then lift the bar over his head like this. And then as he's going down, his shoulder just pops out.
Okay.
Completely. His arm was on the floor.
Let me tell you what actually happened.
And I, the superhero, lift it off his neck. I lift it out of the air before it even touches his neck.
So I'm binge pressing with my good friend Pete before he leaves forever and is out of my life never to return.
Oh yeah, I got a internship in another state. That's why I moved away.
We're bench pressing. Peter goes first. Obviously, he can only do the bar, so he's
No.
moving. It's like 45 pounds, and he struggles, and like he can't like lift it. I spot him. It's okay. Like it happens. It happens to all of us. And I put I think 3 plates on each side.
Okay. In all actuality, we are weak and we're doing like maybe a plate.
Yeah, maybe. And um we're going for 8 reps like he says, and I get to 7. I'm like, "Ooh, I don't think I can do anymore. Put it up." And Pete's like, "Yeah, you probably can't do anymore." And I go, "Okay, well, I
I
got."
did not say any of this.
Either way, I'm like, I got one more in the tank, and my spotter doesn't help me lift it off the rack. I have to do it
No.
myself.
Okay. I didn't do this, but we have never done this in my entire
Yeah,
time that we've lived.
it's just that we're dumb and we didn't know how to spot someone correctly. So I lift it off myself, and I'm super weak, super exhausted already, and I just go down, and somehow my shoulder just pops out of socket and it just like destroys itself. And Peter catches it like 5 minutes after I've been like struggling and
No,
screaming for
no,
help.
I catch it. It did not hit your neck. It actually didn't.
It hit my chest. Yeah, you're right.
No, it lightly tapped your left shoulder.
Yeah, and my shoulder has not been the same since. But that's okay. It happens.
And he screamed, and everyone looked at him.
I did scream. I went, ah!
It was so primal.
Oh, wait. Dead Microphone says something in the chat, and I feel like it's very important. Peter, more like wiener.
Okay, well, it's kind of hurtful.
I think it really adds to it.
I don't love it.
The next one is Peter got scammed.
Oh my gosh. This happened so long ago. And I recovered most of the money from it.
It kind of wumps.
Ish. But yeah, so what happened was apparently when you accept a job in another state, you actually have to move there
That's
and
crazy.
find a place to live. Which is like crazy.
Now, we should clarify, you've also done this once before where you moved to another state and lived there and found
Nope.
an apartment.
Nope. Haven't done that. Actually, I actually didn't. That story's crazy in itself. I mean, I can tell it really short. But my previous internship down in Georgia, I wasn't going to accept because I didn't have a place to go. And HR reached out to me and was like, hey, or the head of HR reached out and was like, hey, I got a house if you want to stay in it. And so I just did.
And if you've watched any of the previous podcasts, you'll know that that house had the worst Wi-Fi in the free world.
Yep, that's where some of the previous podcasts were.
And you
great.
sound like
It was
a
amazing.
robot the whole time. And
It was
somehow
awesome.
your phone right now sounds better than it did back in the day, than your computer.
That was my mic and everything on the old setup.
But what's weird about apartments these days is they want you to pay in a wire transfer from your bank account 6 months worth of rent.
International wires.
Before you can even move in, you gotta pay at least 6 months rent to know the
you
truth.
were making it sound so much worse than it was. It progressively got to this point. He's not wrong in how it ended up, but it progressively got worse.
So how'd it happen?
I've been apartment hunting at this point for like several weeks. It's not working out. Either they're really high like rent or in a bad location or really far away from work. Like there's a million reasons that it's super hard to find an apartment. But literally like I think it ended up being like 2 weeks before I was supposed to move up there, this really, really great listing pops up like 3 hours before I see it. Cause I'm apartment hunting at like midnight. And so I apply and I get accepted within the hour.
Danny, what's up, King? Welcome to the chat. Good to see you.
And it's a crazy nice place. It's this big old loft. It has these huge, like 12-foot windows, super nice, fully furnished kitchen and place.
It's the nicest apartment I have ever seen.
Yes.
And Pete's like, I'm moving here. This is
And
sick.
it is the same price as any other non-furnished place in the area. It's very expensive, but still same price as anything I would find.
This sounds almost too good to be true, Peter.
This is what I thought. But then I got accepted, and so I ignored all of these feelings. And so he sends over this contract. And it's pretty sound. Like, we had some folks look over it, and they're like, yeah, that's a pretty normal contract, nothing crazy.
Who are these folks?
Just folks and people. My family.
Okay.
But and so in this contract it says how to pay rent and what is required for like security deposit. Security deposit is like $1,700. But because
is that
I'm
like
doing
1 month's rent?
No. It was a little more, like the security deposit, and it was more than a month's rent.
Okay.
But because I was only doing 8 months lease, they're like, okay, well, we don't trust that. It's not the full year. You know, let's up that to like, 2,000 or so.
They gaslit you. They were
I
like,
forget the real number. No,
they
this
were
is
like,
a normal thing.
no, they're like, are you trying to scam us right now?
No,
We can't have this guy
This is
scamming us.
this is normal. It does get crazier, and I do get stupider, but this is normal. If you're not doing a full lease, they will often either charge you more at the end during your rent or at the beginning with a security deposit, just as an assurance to them.
Okay.
So I'm like, that's chill. How do I pay this? And they're like, oh, see section whatever in the contract.
Addendum C. It's all right there.
Yeah. And it's like international wire transfer, which is weird because the location I am transferring it to is like a place in Delaware. So it's an international wire transfer to a random place in Delaware.
And you're not moving to Delaware.
No, I'm moving to Philadelphia. And so, no, Pennsylvania.
Nice.
Good. Little Freudian slip there. But literally this whole time, I'm thinking it's chill until I see that it's in Delaware. And then I ask the listing manager about it, and he's like, oh, no, that's the actual owner. I'm just like the manager of the properties. And I'm like, that's cool. This whole time, his name is his name was like, it was a unique name. We'll say that. Not a typical name for just a normal Pennsylvania town.
It was like James.
No. I don't remember what it was. It was like,
Make a guess.
I honestly can't remember. The point is, it was a very unique sounding name. And the person who lived in Delaware was also a very unique sounding name. And so I was like, okay, maybe they're just from like out of the country who moved here.
Yeah,
That's
just some entrepreneurs.
Yes, exactly. That's cool. I'll pay them gladly, which I did. And then they're like, okay.
Copious amounts of money.
Like 2 days later, they're like, okay, we received your wire transfer internationally. But here's the cuckoo crazy thing. We actually need 3 months rent. And I was like, why? And they're like, because this whole COVID thing going on, we're having a lot of rotation outside. So the department or the building managers are asking us to make people pay 3 months of rent or commit to a full year-long lease because it upgrades the property value. I'm like, that sounds cool. I'm fine with that because this place is so goated.
That makes sense to me.
Yes. And I try to wire transfer it again. But my bank is like, this is sketchy. You can't do it.
Bro, fuck your bank. Kind of
honestly. No.
So you just don't.
Me so much money.
So you just don't send them the money.
I don't. And they're like, okay, you're out of here. And I'm like, but do you have Venmo? And they're like,
you just got your shovel and you just keep digging.
Yeah. They're like, yes, send it here. And they say send it to another. This person is in Illinois in a different name than all of the other people that have been mentioned.
A third
and they're
state.
Like, yes. And I was like, okay, who is this? Because this person is not near any of them. And the guy was like, oh, they're the receptionist for the manager.
Makes sense.
Delaware and Illinois.
Long commute for
Yeah.
the office.
I don't know where in Delaware or anything like that.
But so you didn't send him the money, is what you're saying. You're like, no, this is sketchy.
Yes, but in another sense, no. I send the money.
How much is this money that you're sending on Venmo?
An amount. And then they're like, oh, we actually need on top of this. It was like, we need another month's rent, but they sent this before while we were figuring out all the Venmo stuff. So I sent an even larger amount on Venmo. And then 3 days later, they hit me up and they say, you actually need property insurance.
That's smart. You don't want to get scammed.
And I'm like, don't you mean renter's insurance? And they're like, yes, that is actually
that is the one we meant to say.
And they, this entire time, have been speaking in very broken, poor English. And
you've like called them?
No. I've tried to call them. I've been like, give me a number to call, and they don't answer. And they just text.
Okay.
And then I'm like, no, I want to call, and they're like, I can't do that.
Welcome to the chat.
And then
we're back. Sorry, just talking to my friends. Anyway, you were rambling. Continue.
Do you mind?
Please.
Where do you get off, sir?
You're not just gonna keep. Okay. I'll tell your story then.
No. Okay. So, where was I? What did I say last?
We should just start at the beginning.
Yeah, well, it all started. No. Yeah, this whole time they've been speaking in very broken English, and they're like, "Oh, we need renter's insurance now."
Yeah.
And it's like another $1,700, and I'm like, renter's insurance costs like $15 a month, and I would do it through like my bank or an insurance company or something like that. I wouldn't do it through you guys. And so I'm like, give me a call. And then he gives me like an auto-generated phone number that is a discontinued line when I call it, but you can make those phone numbers online and text from them, but they aren't real phone numbers. And I figure out he's done this, and I'm like, give me my money back. I want out of this.
You get like a sinking feeling in your stomach when you realize it's a fake phone number.
Yes. And in the contract it says, oh, you can back out whenever. And so I'm like, give me my money back. And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, then let's meet in person so you can give me the keys before I pay you any more. And they're like, no, let's not do that. You just send me the money and then you'll have the keys.
And this is like on Friday, and you're supposed to be in Pennsylvania like the next day, right?
Mm-hmm. I was leaving for Pennsylvania the next day. So I'm like,
I was gonna say my favorite part of the story is you're like, I'm gonna show up to the apartment and we can talk there, right?
Yes. After a while of me like fighting this guy to try to get him on the phone, I'm like, I'll just meet you there. I'm going to the apartment. Meet me at this time to hand over the keys, because I've already secured it. I've already paid everything. Already done everything this contract says. And he's like, you can show up. I will not be there, and you will be arrested for trespassing.
Hey, he's just trying to homie you. Just keep it a book.
I was like, okay, that's sketchy. It turns out, crazily enough, this guy didn't own the apartment. No. I find out later.
Did the rest? Well, obviously he didn't own. He was just the manager.
Yeah, none of these people own the apartment. I'm sure none of them existed. But
they're all just him.
This is apparently a thing. Don't just trust apartment listings and stuff online, because it's a very common scam where they'll come up with convincing contracts to known locations and try to snag you there. But this guy didn't own any of it, and I find out who the actual owner is, and it's been like sold 2 years ago. Isn't even for rent. This building is like the nicest building in town, and like any property on sale gets sold like in 2 seconds. And I actually drove by it. It's very nice. It would have been cool to live there.
Did you get arrested for trespassing?
I didn't try to go in because he told me I would. So I trust that if I trust nothing, I trust that. But I was able to go through and back charge all the Venmo costs. Crazily enough, once you send money anonymously internationally through wire transfer, you can't get it back.
That's crazy.
But now my Venmo account is permanently locked.
No, that's the worst part of this story. Besides the money that you've lost into the ether through your bank transfer to Switzerland or whatever.
Delaware, but yes.
Same thing. The other lasting effect of this is Peter can not send money on Venmo. He can only receive money on Venmo. So I'm like, we get a pizza or something. I'm like, oh, all right, Pete, I got it. Just Venmo me. He's like, oh, sorry, I can't. You remember when I got scammed? My Venmo's shut down, but you can pay me if you want to.
But the crazy thing about this is like, it's at our age, so many people use Venmo. It's like, oh, I'm not worried about it. Just Venmo me later. And I'm like, every time this situation comes up, I'm like reminded of my failures and have to address them with the people around. Oh, my Venmo is permanently shut down. And then they always ask why.
And you can't even like get a new Venmo too because it's linked directly to your bank account.
Yes, it's awful.
You're gonna have to become the Cash App guy.
No one uses Cash App or Apple Pay.
Yo, what's up? Callie in the chat. Callie, long time no see.
Bro, I hate Callie. Can we talk about that? I'm glad she's sick.
Oh yeah, I got Callie sick. I'm a bit of a super spreader, eh? I've been giving people sickness.
Cooper got sick, then went back to his home, and then gave both of his sisters the sickness that he had. Literally, like the day before his sister started a brand new internship at a very impressive company.
And then you guys remember Tony. I also was like, Tony, let's go see Doctor Strange. I'm in town. And then I immediately got him sick too. And I was coughing during the movie and he was like, Are you sick right now? And I was like, nah, it's just allergies. I had a fever of 103 the next day.
Yeah, it wasn't allergies.
What's up, Ratty Boy? How's it going?
Bro, we gotta start recording these not live because you keep shouting out every person.
Well, I wanna say what up to the homies. It's been a while.
Good.
And it's funnier because you can't see it too.
Yeah, because I'm on my phone, I can't see anything going on.
The next one on my list is Then We Kissed on the Lips.
I mean, that's just for us.
Yeah, that's just the boys. We can skip that one.
What you guys don't see before the podcast starts, before we hit live, you don't need to see.
Yeah, I guessed you were Rat with the hat. It is good to see you again, though.
Okay, audio listeners and anyone watching won't understand this. You have to explain.
I'm talking to the chat. I'm a homie. Talking to the boys.
He's a shill.
But Then We Kissed on the Lips is actually, I think it's funny to end every story with And Then We Kissed on the Lips.
That is a good bit. I like that bit.
So I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah.
The next one is the beard contest. I don't know what that is.
I have no clue. Maybe we're going to grow out beards.
I think I was going to have a beard contest at some point.
Okay. I look forward to it. Let me know how that goes for you.
I think it was like, oh, I know what it was. So, my cousin Max is a super hairy dude.
He is very hairy.
An alpha male. And Pete, you can get in on this too. I was gonna give Max was gonna give me a year to grow a beard, and then he has to shave 1 month before I'm done. Like I start growing my beard in January. He shaves November 30th.
So a month-long beard versus a year-long beard.
Yeah, he has a month. I have a year. Who can grow the better beard?
Max.
That's hurtful.
It's very true, bro.
Bro.
Max is such a hairy dude He must have like
How hairy is he?
insanely high testosterone and would be a beast in the gym.
He's a high T Andy. And
Yeah.
Pete, you're a low T boy. I've been saying that.
No, no shot.
That's what they call him, actually. They call him low testosterone Pete.
They don't call me that. High T Pete. High TP.
My next one is alien sex illegal.
And what's your next one?
It's an important discussion.
What?
So you can't like. What's your dog's name that your dog's sitting?
Mom, Dad, please skip this part of the podcast.
But it's
I don't
like,
know where this is going.
you couldn't be in a relationship with an animal, right?
Yeah, no shot.
But aliens aren't human. Could you get married to an alien?
No.
Why?
The same reason you couldn't to an animal.
That's xenophobic. What if they're like sentient?
They
And,
deserve
like,
it.
what if they're
Animals
smarter than
are
us?
Bro, half the animals on the planet are smarter than you.
What if they
We're
know
still not going to let
maths
you marry them.
and speak English
So,
and are baddies?
Cooper, you can live out whatever fantasies you want in your head privately.
Would that be illegal?
It should be.
I think it is, based on our current law setup, but we'll fix it later. The next one is cops almost killed me. I don't remember what happened, but I am sure I almost died. And
Dog bark.
what the dog do?
Can you hear that?
I think I almost got hit by a cop car, but I don't remember. You good?
Can you hear the dog barking?
No.
Okay, good.
And then I have one more topic on my list of things that we missed, and it's the milk challenge.
What?
I don't know what the milk challenge is.
I have no clue what the milk challenge is. Oh, are we just going to try to drink a gallon of milk?
Oh, it was you go to the gym and you can't leave until you've run 2 miles and drank a gallon of milk.
Oh my god. That sounds horrible. But I kind of want to do it.
It's the milk challenge.
I want to do that.
But you can't run and drink milk at the same time, I think.
Okay, do I have to sprint or can I run can I do a jog?
I don't know. I think you got to go full beans.
That makes that so much harder.
But you can't do the whole race and then drink the gallon of milk. It's like in segments.
Like interval.
Every quarter mile you have to drink a quarter of a gallon.
So you'd be finished in a mile.
Every half mile you drink a quarter of a gallon of milk. This is like a horrible math problem.
Gosh.
But you gotta alternate because you can't just run the whole thing then drink the milk. That's lame.
You have to hold it the whole time too.
Callie said this is so disturbing.
Good.
Unhinged podcast. We're back.
This is for mature audiences only.
And Rat sent a gif of a twerking. It's some sort of animal. It's a dolphin.
Okay.
It's a dolphin. It's got a little hat and it's twerking.
Thank you for letting me know. I'm getting the audio listener experience here. It's not great.
I think it's good.
Okay.
So Pete, that's all my. Yo, Callie hit us with the Prime sub. She said spit those Bezos.
Bro, stop being such a shill.
It makes the noise. It comes up with the noise.
I'm so mad at you for.
Stop telling Peter things. Oh, Pete, I wasn't supposed to.
Shoot.
Fuck.
Starting now.
Now I will not tell Peter things. Unless someone says something in the chat, in which case I will acknowledge it.
But Cooper, you have been giving me. I have been edged. I'm on the edge of my seat here, waiting for you to tell me your crazy story. Because
This
Cooper,
guy on the right sucks. Just reading the chat again. am
who's
I
on
on
the
the?
right?
It could be either of us.
Who do you mean? Speak from your chest, son.
It depends on if they're talking about from our perspective or your perspective.
Yeah, who are you speaking about? Who said that?
Yeah, audio listeners can assume who's on the right.
They're talking about
Um,
Cooper.
no. Okay, well, Rat said don't talk about the chat, and now he's just sending things. He's sending the dolphin twerking, and there's like a bunch of them, and they're all twerking, and it's all
Whoa, a
synchronized.
racial slur. Bro, chat's going crazy.
Wait, you said that right as Callie said your name, but you can't say my name in the chat. You can't say your name in my chat, so it's just Peter with the star instead of an A.
What? There's no A in Peter.
Oh wait, I mean what I said. A star instead of an E, the first E.
Oh, oh.
Anyways, we're getting distracted.
Yeah, so Cooper, after our conversations earlier today, Cooper was like, I am locked out of the house. And then calls me back like an hour later and is like, the craziest story ever. And this was the inspiration for our this current podcast. And I am dying to know.
The whole reason I wanted to record this podcast is I went on an adventure today, and I didn't mean for it to happen. It all started about 6 p.m. today. I was bored, and so I called up my boy Pete. And I was like, yo, Pete.
Okay. You're not because you wanted to talk to me or anything?
Why did I call you then?
Just you missed me?
So I called Pete, and I was like, let's hang out. And he was like, sorry, I'm still in Pennsylvania. And I was like, okay, that's a little sad. So I'm on the phone with Peter, and we're talking. I don't even know what we're talking about. But I decide that I'm going to go out of the house and play some disc golf because I'm a cool guy with lots of
Cooper
cool
goes
things.
and plays disc golf alone when he gets sad.
I wasn't sad, and it was actually very cool, and lots of people do it.
Lonely and sad.
Anyway, I leave my house, and I'm like, time to go play some disc golf. Close my front door, reach in my pocket for my car keys. They're not in there. I know you're thinking, okay, just go back inside. My car keys are attached to my house key. And I'm on the phone with Peter, and I'm like, oh, and I'm drinking my new Celsius energy drink. Not sponsored.
Which kills you, by the way. And also, our door is the kind of door you can lock as you go out. Like, it stops the handle from moving. So we instinctively just lock it as we go out the door. So it's open, you lock it, and close the door, and the door's locked.
I close the door behind me, it's locked. I'm locked outside of the house. No worries, Coop. No worries. You're locked outside of the house? Kinda inconvenient. You got 3 roommates, though.
One of them's in Pennsylvania.
I'm already on the phone with Peter. He's currently in Pennsylvania.
I did
Sucks
offer my keys.
for me. He said I could come up and get his keys.
Yep.
All right, I got another roommate. Call up my boy Jeremy. Sorry, Coop, I can't help you. I'm actually on the way home. It's a 3-hour drive. I'm already like halfway. So I'm going home for the weekend. Cannot help you. Okay, that sucks. Call up my third roommate. What's up, John? How you been, King? I'm locked outside of the house right now. John says, that's crazy. I'm currently in Seattle, Washington.
What? Like the furthest you can be in the continental US from where we are.
Exactly. So I'm thinking, shit, all of my roommates are gone. I'm not getting back until Jeremy comes back home. I can't get back inside until the end of the weekend, I guess. I call up, luckily my sister's down here in Raleigh. Shout out Grace. And I'm like, Grace,
No.
can I come?
Unshout out Grace.
Can I come sleep on your couch? And she's like, yeah, I guess. Like, I just worked all day. I can come by and pick you up though, because you're a little lame-o. And like it's super inconvenient for her because like she's been working this entire week and is super exhausted. And I'm like, hey, can I come over, King? And she's like, yeah, I guess I'll homie you. Pete, I'm currently sitting inside of my house right now. How did I get back in?
Do you want me to tell you?
I want you to guess.
So John is out, but Cooper told me John helped him get in.
He did.
And John lives in the corner of our building. In the middle, it's stuck in like a little alcove, and he has two big windows back there. So I think Cooper broke into the windows because John has gotten locked out before and knows how to break into those windows to let himself in.
You were wrong.
Dang.
I'm on the phone with Grace, or I text Grace. She's coming over. She's coming to pick me up. And Johnny calls me back. And he's like, hey, Coop, I know I'm not there right now, but I actually hid a key. If you really need to get back into the apartment, you can get this key. And I go, oh, great, John. This is amazing. I have a question. How did you lock your house without using your house key? You can like lock the knob as you go. So as we went outside, I opened the door, locked the door, and then closed it behind me. So I locked myself
You
out
lock
that
it
way.
with your hand, not with a key.
Yeah. You just like turn the inside. But he's like, hey, Coop, I got a key hidden. You want to get back inside the house? Just use that key. John, you're so great. Thank you for telling me this, I say in glee. Where's it at? Is it under I checked under the mat. There wasn't anything under the mat. And John goes, oh, well, we live in kind of a sketchy area, so I couldn't just hide it under our mat. I had to hide it kind of away from the house a little bit. And I go, okay, so like, I need to walk to get it? And he goes, yeah, I can. How much time do you have time? Like I'm not doing anything. I can help you find it. I'm like, oh, just tell me where it is, John. He says, you're going to have to walk about 2 miles down the road.
What?
You walk a mile and you'll see a stream bed. It's not there. Walk another mile, you'll see a second stream bed, and it's buried under some rocks behind a tree.
John hid a key miles away from our house.
And I said,
okay, we have very eccentric roommates, and there are a million good hiding places very close to our house.
I said, John, why is it so far away from our house? And he said, it's for our protection, because I didn't want to hide it so close to our house. If someone found it and they tried like every door nearby, they could get into our house. I did this for you, Coop. And I was like, okay, I mean, I guess that makes sense, but I guess I got some walking to do. I start walking. Luckily, I was getting ready to go play disc golf, so I got a bottle of water with me, and my phone's completely charged. And so I walk like a mile down the road, and then my sister texts me, and she's like, hey, I'm here to pick you up to take you to my house. And I go, oh, sorry, I'm actually a mile down the road, about to be 2 miles, looking for this key. And she is rightfully upset. She is like, you made me drive all the way over here, and now you're just telling me to leave? And I was like, yes, sorry about that.
You didn't even hang out with Grace after this?
No, I'm literally the worst.
You are a bad brother.
Yeah, but I was like, I can't turn down the opportunity to go on this treasure hunt. So I kept walking.
Why didn't you tell Grace about the treasure hunt?
I did, and she was like, I don't care. We could just go. I'm already here. Just get in the car. And I was like, no, I want to hunt some treasure. And so I keep walking, and I walk past. I'm a mile in, and I look to John's like, okay. He's on Google Maps this whole time. I'm on the phone with him. He's giving me like a play-by-play. He's like, you're about to pass this street, and once you see the street, look to your right, and you'll see a stream bed. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I look to my right, and I see the stream bed, and I'm like, okay, maybe this won't be too hard. Walk another mile. He tells me, okay, look to your right. You should see one that looks very similar to the other stream bed. Same thing. He's like, okay, it's hidden there behind a tree. I walk down to the stream bed, and luckily I was able to take some photos of this experience. There is not just like one tree next to this stream bed. It is in a forest. And he goes, okay, it's hidden behind a tree that's about 2 hand lengths wide. And for clarification, he hid this key 2 years ago when he locked himself out.
Oh my gosh.
He said it's under some rocks behind a tree within 10 feet of this big culvert.
Does our landlord know he like hid this key miles away from the house?
I don't know. Anyway,
Show us the pictures.
I have some pictures. Pete, I'm just going to send you, since you can't watch the stream, I'm just going to send you all the pictures.
Yes.
Give me a second. Chatterinos. Let me send these to Mr. Foobly.
Chatterinos.
All right, I'm sending them to Pete. And chat, I'm going to show you these pictures now as we speak. So. Oh, I froze us. This is the culvert that we spoke of. Peter, do you have the pictures?
It's got a bunch of pictures. Yes.
The wide picture that you can see. You can see the culvert in.
Yes.
Yeah, Pete, you're going to have to do a little self-guided tour for this part. This is the area I'm searching to try and find this key. And for the audio listeners, it's a forest with a small creek running through it. And there are a lot of trees. So I send this picture to John, and I go, John, tell me which tree it's behind, please. And he says, I don't know. Send me more pictures. So I send him this picture. I'm like, is it one of these 3 trees? And I should clarify, this is not a nice area. There's garbage strewn across the ground everywhere. I dug behind this big tree in this picture. Actually, you can see I dug behind this little tree. But behind this big tree, there were shards of glass just in the soil.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, I'm glad I'm sticking my hands in this. It's kind of cool. Sent John another picture of the same trees. He's like, no, don't see it there. Finally, I sent him this picture, which is just a forest. And he goes, this is actually the picture. He sent the picture back to me. He goes, it's this tree. And he circled the tree. He was like, it's behind this tree. And I don't know if you can tell from this picture, but that is a giant ass tree.
That is not a two.
It's not a two-hander. It's like I would have to bear hug it, and maybe I would get around it.
I'm shocked he could recognize it.
And John's like, okay, that's my bad. Let me tell you, it was not that tree. It was a different tree. The tree looks ridden with poison oak. Callie says, it's actually poison ivy, not poison oak. Thank you very much. But I don't think it is. I think it's either poison ivy or just like a normal ivy. A little scary. I don't know if you guys can tell in this picture, but it's actually this tree in the back that it was hidden behind. So I go and I start digging. And I'm like, John, I found the bottle. I pull up this bottle. He's like, nah, I've never seen that bottle before in my life. You got the wrong bottle. I'm here for 2 hours searching this damn forest. It's so hot. I'm covered in sweat and dirt. And there's mosquitoes absolutely everywhere. Because mosquitoes like to be in damp little areas like this. So I'm getting bit up everywhere. I keep digging around. He has no idea which tree it's behind. And I'm like, okay, I feel bad. I should just give up. I shouldn't have told Grace to leave. And then I'm digging and I see this. I see a little head poking out. And this is like a foot deep under some rocks. I felt like I was in the TV show Survivor looking for a hidden immunity idol. I see this and I get so wide peepo happy. Like I'm literally going crazy. And I'm like, John, I think I found it. And I pull it up. You can see the little bottle in the hole right here. John was not playing when he said it was hidden. This thing is buried treasure.
Yeah, buried several feet deep under rocks and ivy behind the tree in a random stream bed 2 miles away from our house.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I find this little container and I pull it out and it has this key inside of it.
To his credit, No one would be able to find that.
Right? We were safe and secure inside of our home.
Outside of the murderer who lived outside our house, but that's another story.
A story for a different time. But that's how I got back inside today. It was a hellacious experience, but I'm glad it happened.
And Grace is still waiting for him outside. She doesn't know he made it back in.
True. She has no idea. John with the clutch. Yeah, John. I don't know if he's giga brain or small brain, but it worked out for me.
John's something. To be determined.
He saved me today, and he sat on the phone with me for 2 hours trying to figure out where it was buried at.
John is a great roommate, by the way.
Let me tell you the worst part of this. I got the key, and I put it in my pocket, and I was like, you know what? I got this little container. I'm going to bury it back in the hole, back where it belongs. So I put it back in the hole, covered it in rocks, reached in my pocket. The key was gone. I had a hole in my pocket, and I had dropped it in the woods.
Oh my gosh, Cooper.
Luckily, it was in a pretty visible spot, so I was able to find it. But I was like, I just did all this to drop the fucking key?
It would have been gone forever if it wasn't in just like an easy spot.
Yeah, Callie, now I have to re-hide it 2 miles in the other direction.
You do, because now we would know. All the people listening would know.
They would.
And we're in danger.
I gotta hide it. Well, actually, then they would probably search like in a 2 mile radius, so I gotta hide it like 3 miles in the other direction.
You have to hide it in Pennsylvania.
In you.
No.
No one would ever check. You'd like swallow it.
Yeah, that would end well.
But isn't that like insane?
That's an insane story, Coop. You find yourself in some interesting situations.
I'm kind of the main character.
No. I will say, Coop
I have
gets
the
up to
key.
some...
I have the key. Wait, if I show the key, can you get into my house? Can you
Yes.
copy it from the picture?
They actually can.
This is the key that was in the bottle.
Okay, so John is going to have an aneurysm at this moment.
I covered up the tip. You can't even see the tip.
So all you need to do is pick one pin in the lock now.
Come get me.
Gosh. But yeah, Coop gets up to some crazy things. He just does weird stuff at random times.
That's
like
perfect.
Tony, another friend of ours, Coop was about to like I don't even remember what we were doing. Coop was just like hanging out and was like, this would be funny. And just drove to Tony's house and was like, let's go hike the Profile Trail, which is a very long, like, not a quick, random, like, spur of the moment type deal. Like, you plan for it, you got water bottles, you got snacks. Some people camp out on it. It's like, it's a thing.
Yeah, I was hanging out with Tony. I hadn't seen him in a while, and he was like, you want to get some lunch or something? We got some lunch. And then I was like, let's go. Wouldn't it be fun if we did this 6 mile hike? And he was like, no, it would actually be horrible. And then we did it. Just so that I could call Peter. My whole plan was I thought it would be funny to call Peter at the top of the mountain. And then I called Peter at the top of the mountain and he didn't answer.
I was like at work or something. I was doing stuff.
Yeah, Callie, that's true. One time I did drive me and Callie to Tony's house just so I could go pee. And he was having family dinner at the time.
And another time you just drove to his house to pee and then left to another county.
That was so funny.
Like immediately after without saying anything to him.
I like peeing at Tony's house. I was coming back just down to school and I was like, I'll stop by Tony's house. I kind of got to go pee. I do that a lot. I do that a few times. I've been known to do that. And so I stopped at his house and I was like, hey, Tone, can I use your bathroom? He was like, yeah, sure. And I used his bathroom and I go, oh, I actually left something in my car. I'll be right back. And then I left and drove 3 hours away to school.
Yeah.
And then Tony told me later that his family was like, so he just stopped and went pee in your bathroom? Why are you friends with this guy? And Tony's
a
like,
great
you'd have to be there.
All of Cooper's friends and family have been asked this question many times.
I wouldn't say that.
I would, as one of those. The answer, TBD, still to this day.
So that they can be involved with this podcast.
Yeah, truly.
That's the only reason I'm friends with you, Pete, so we could do this podcast.
Yeah, you are friends with me just for content.
Let me tell you, we get some good content.
I'll take it. But I will say, we've run through a bunch of stories, and Harvey's getting a little antsy to run out of here.
And they call me Harvey.
Nope. Well, I mean, sure, maybe. I don't know.
It has been fun, though. I think it.
Yeah.